Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting, January 25th, 2016. We'll call the meeting to order. Would you all rise and pledge of allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. The room's a little crowded tonight. We're joined by the East Brookfield Select Board, along with the members of the school committee, school superintendent, and we'll get to that business shortly. First item, motion to approve business meetings of January 11th, 2016. Has everybody had a chance to review them? That being said, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes of January 11th.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Next one, citizens' input. Anybody want to be heard this early? Good. Seeing none. Communications. Anything, Mr. Administrator?
Not at this time.
Told you. New business. Fiscal year 2017 budget kickoff with the Spencer East Brookfield Regional School District. Superintendent Crow, along with Comptroller Suter, and members of the, who do I have? I have Vinnie Cludia, Kevin Hayes, Jimmy, who else is here? I'll let you introduce them if you want, Kevin.
Heather Messier, Mike Ethier, Jim St. Peter.
Is that it?
Yep.
Thank you, Kev. So that being said, Mr. Administrator. I'll
Yeah,
turn it to
Mr.
you.
Chairman, I just wanted to also introduce, I know that we have members of the East Brookfield Finance Committee here tonight, and we do have a couple of Spencer Finance Committee folks. Mary Brainy, who's our chairwoman, she's working at Cable Access tonight, so thanks, Mary. And then Paul McLaughlin's also here. But just wanted to welcome everyone to Town of Spencer, and this is great. We've done this a couple times in the past before, and have you guys over here. Just keep in mind, you guys have a meeting at 7, so we want to be respectful for them, give them a tough time to get back to your business meeting. But this is a great opportunity for everyone in the room that's involved in the budget process, town officials, to get together and have a kickoff of the budget season. We all have I think the same goal, and here we are. We have state revenues coming out and other information coming out as we begin that process. Kind of try and get on the same page and where we're going forward this year, and hopefully this is the first of many partnerships and discussions over the next several months. So with that, we did invite Dr. Crow and Mr. Suter if you'd like to make a brief presentation and tell us how things are, maybe a state of the state from the district, and then maybe talk about where you're headed and what you're thinking moving forward for this year, and then maybe have some discussion with the folks in the room. Sound good?
Please.
Yep, please.
Takes direction well. Thank you. What I really want to sort of review tonight is something that I did at the last full school committee meeting, which is to give you the vision that we have for the district and how we expect to move it forward. So it's not just state of the state, it's state of what we intend to do about that state. It's really going forward. This was vetted by the entire leadership team as well as some teachers. Just in terms of the mission and the vision, I've posted the entire district improvement plan on the website, so that's the public can view that at this point. But we believe in the importance of a regional school district. That's first and foremost. We believe in the cooperation that we need to engage in. We expect to engage all students in challenging programs. We expect to create and sustain an atmosphere of mutual respect and cooperation. We expect to develop and nurture dynamic partnerships within the greater community. And we expect to be able to build organizational structures that will support effective teaching and learning at all developmental levels while still maintaining fiscal responsibility to the communities. Our overarching goals is to provide students and staff with clean, safe learning environments. to develop challenging, engaging, and innovative curriculum that's focused on high academic standards for both teaching and learning. We expect to apply rigorous performance standards to all areas of student learning and consistently use assessments to measure student growth and achievement, as well as inform educator practice. We see those as all coming together. We expect to ensure that all students have equal access to high-quality instruction, instructional resources, and have the opportunity to learn and achieve in a safe environment. We also expect to inspire and empower students to achieve high academic success to prepare for college and career, to become lifelong learners, and to be ethical and responsible global citizens. So with that being said, our theory of action really revolves around putting things in place that will ensure each of those things, starting with the safe, clean learning environment. We reviewed a lot of data to get to this improvement plan. It is a 3-year plan. It is not a short-term fix. It is a long-range set of goals and expectations that we've set. So if I could just go through, maybe, I know I don't have a lot of time, but just I wanted to sort of set the stage so you knew where we were going. Our first overarching goal area is the safe and secure schools. So we're talking about, in this, we have action items with dates that where we start and where we expect to have ongoing conversations about, but many of them are about building repairs, about security systems, and about a maintenance cycle. So we've set our very strong focus on the fact that not only do we need to fix things that we know have been unattended for a while, but we need to put things in place so that we're not coming up against a concrete wall the next time and having to, in a panic, say, we need to do this and we need to do this right now, that we plan over time to do that maintenance cycle. We're expecting to do that specifically on buildings. We're also expecting to do we're expecting to do ALICE training, for example, which is the state police model of safe and secure buildings. I met with, in Spencer, I've already met, and I will be doing that in East Brookfield as well, because I've met with the police department and fire to talk about the plan specifically for high school and middle school, since those are usually the heaviest areas of involvement for that. The second overarching goal is in curriculum alignment. This is to provide the effective curriculum and instruction. And so we have a series of things about surveying the curriculum needs. We've already begun that process. We've already begun the process of establishing English Language Arts Committee study groups, as well as mathematics study group, as well as science. So we have those 3 things already in the works. We're also going to be developing assessment schedules so that we can plan accordingly about those assessments, since that's such a huge mandate of the state. We're looking at those 3 specific things, but we're not forgetting the untested areas of social studies or social emotional needs, and also have plans to do a number of professional development opportunities in that. Another overarching goal area is data teams. We feel it's imperative that we establish data teams for the purpose of constantly analyzing data to the extent of informing our practice and informing our budget process. So the principals very clearly know that this year it has been very, very data-driven. They're asking for things that they know, based on the data, they need to move the district forward. That includes professional development. It's another area that we believe is lacking and that we need to spend more money on and more time doing. Another overarching goal for the district improvement plan is to promote high-quality leadership and the PD. And so we have a number of, for example, we're completing Wi-Fi installation for all schools. We're reestablishing the technology committee, which we've already done. That, too, will be going into a cycle of maintenance and upgrade. They're going to establish a vision for moving the district forward over the next 5 to 7 years. So then, again, not a short-term goal, but they have to get into the habit of planning ahead, not just for right now, but how do we replace that equipment and stay current with technology? We have a number of, we expect to develop a global studies program to provide additional opportunities for our students and to keep them current with the needs that they'll encounter with being a global citizen. We have also started to talk about professional development 3 years out, so we have a timeline that we're setting up for what we expect to do each year for professional development. Sorry, I'm going through this really fast, but I want to make sure I get it all in. And then the last overarching goal is community relations and involvement. One of the things that I have not had as much time as I would like to focus on is certainly communications, public relations, and community involvement. So to that end, we want to create and maintain some school business partnerships at all schools, not just some schools that happen to be lucky enough to have knowledge of someone who wants to help out, but we want to actually go out and do that kind of relationship on an ongoing basis at all schools. We want to establish ongoing collaborations with parents and community stakeholders. I've been meeting with a group of parents, I've been meeting with a group of students, we're continuing to do that, those groups are growing. We want to maintain communication and collaboration with the various parent groups. We want to maintain communication with the towns, and we want to establish a schedule and protocol for website enhancements and updates. As you probably know, we have changed the website, and we've let that out a little bit at a time because we want to control the quality of what's on it and make sure that it's precise and make sure that it's actually informing the public of what they need to know.
I think you covered just about everything.
Okay, any questions? I think that's a great start. And I have to say, I was at the last meeting that the principals got up and explained their needs and what they were looking for. So, I mean, I think that's always a good point of start anyways, to at least get it out there, what's needed. You know, obviously, numbers talk. I think we all, at least from this perspective, are about educating the kids. So I think that's a great start. Anytime you got a community involvement, it tends to put it out there. So, I thank you for that.
I think we're going to turn it over to our guests if they had any questions. I know you guys are one of the gun. I think we have some time, but I don't know if you guys wanted to go first and any questions that you had and get the discussion going in.
Well, I guess if we get down to like some of the brass tacks of the monies, what are you thinking for capital improvements or anything like that that we should be planning on?
We're in the real preliminary stages. You know, the committee's simply heard like one round of what recommendations have come out. I don't know, do you want to address?
Yeah, we're still gathering information. I mean, we've got some, as Dr. Crow mentioned, you know, safe and secure buildings and classrooms. We've got a lot of work to do, mostly at the high school. But we do have work to do at some of the other schools where, you know, we're in the process of seeking information, bids, quotes on the different work that has to be done. Tomorrow, I'm meeting with some, with the advisors that are helping us with the asbestos removal and management plan at the high school. So we're gonna be bidding out some work to be done on February break, and then a majority of that work will be done over the summer because it's just too encompassing to do in a week when the students are out of the building. So a lot of the big ticket items like that, we're still in the process of trying to get more, you know, better information, better numbers on what's gonna happen. But we are, you know, considering, we're looking at updating some equipment within the district, changing the custodial staffing, bringing in a facilities supervisor to help manage the custodians and help us put together a plan to manage the equipment, to manage replacement, and to manage the buildings and the facilities. So there's still a lot to be done with that. I mean, I don't have all the answers to that, but we are going down that path. And, you know, the key to that will be a facilities person to help us, to help the management team, the administrative team, put together a plan on how we can maintain these buildings. Because, you know, keeping older buildings in good condition is not inexpensive. But to do it right, and I think the buildings can last for a while and be, you know, safe and secure as they should be. So to answer your question, we don't have any specific numbers at this point, but we are working on that, and we're hoping, over the
It's
next,
just ideas
Yeah.
way ahead, and that's,
yeah.
Joe, I can tell you that starting tomorrow night, the administration has provided the board with quite a list of capital needs. The committee is going to prioritize those needs, and then they'll be sent off to both communities, because obviously we're going to be looking for some help, to take care of the issues that are facing us. So we expect you to be a part of that whole process once we get that list prioritized.
I just wanted to say it's good news that, a maintenance plan is finally being put in place, because that's long overdue for not just you, but many administrations now. On the academic side, curriculum and so forth you spoke of, do you have any short-term, quick hits, so to speak, that you're looking at for this year? Or do you see
I don't know what that
priorities?
means, what's a quick hit?
Well,
I wanna make sure I know what that means.
Low-hanging
On the
fruit.
academic side, that you feel you can fulfill this year or move forward.
We're already working at, this is Dr. Jordan, the Director of Academic Affairs, and she and I have worked very closely together. She's working as acting principal right now, so she's been diverted a little bit from her primary responsibilities, but we have a science committee, for example, that's been meeting on a regular basis for over a year now. And they're pretty far ahead, and we're looking at some kits. We want to do robotics. We're really intent on making sure that that's equitably across the district. We want both elementary schools to have similar experiences.
We also have established an ELA committee, English Language Arts. Our middle school curriculum needs to become more aligned with our elementary school curriculum, so that's always called some vendors and get some ideas of some numbers, so we can get that in place for next year is our hope. And we've done the same thing with mathematics. We currently use Engage Math, Engage New York Math, which is mainly an online program, but they do have supplemental materials, make it easier to differentiate instruction and things like that, so I've also been in contact with them in the math committee as well to try to facilitate that going forward and start that curriculum renewal cycle, so we're not, and make that a pattern for the years to come, starting this year, so we won't have, big expenses come up on us all of a sudden. We'll have to be in that cycle of renewal.
I certainly agree with Spencer's chairman there, that, it's a great vision. What you put forth is stuff that we've been looking for, Mr. Belay said we're looking for this for years. Maintenance, curriculum, so on and so forth. I sense that it's very preliminary, a lot of work ahead of you, get the visions put in place here, now you gotta start working on implementing. I'm kinda hoping that as time goes on, you talked about community partnerships and stuff, if we could keep the community informed of what you're doing. And not everybody can go to school committee meetings, but if you're using technology, using websites, whatever, keeping people informed, showing them what you're doing, showing them how you're moving forward, steps you're taking, and so on. Communication, transparency is everything, and it eliminates a lot of the rumors out there and all this sort of stuff. It brings the facts out. So I think as long as you continue to keep doing that, that'll help an awful lot. But it's a great vision, it's good.
Larry, I don't know if your board has this, and Spencer has, Mr. Stevens is he's a liaison for the Spencer board, and he attends most of these school committee meetings. Yeah, with 3 members, you probably don't have the ability to do that with all committees, but you do have 2 elected people on your board.
Right,
Maybe
we
you
do.
could set up some cycle
Mhm.
where they could report to you on a monthly basis or something to keep you abreast of what's going on,
Sure. But it's not just our board, but it's the community in general, keeping everybody informed of what you're doing. I think it's real important. Parents and kids in the school might be aware of what's going on, but there's a lot of people out there, a lot of taxpayers out there, voters out there that no longer have children in school, but still, because the school represents half of our budget, they really like to know where their money's being spent. I find for the most part, I can only speak for Spencer, but for the most part, people are willing to invest in education if they feel that their money is being spent properly. So, like I said, communication is everything. Show them what you're doing, show them how the money's being spent, how it's being invested, what benefits are coming from all of this. That's critical.
Mr. Chairman, I second that emotion. It was great to hear the plan that you put forward, and we've been looking for that as well. And as far as communicating to the public, I think Spencer will be fair, again, if they know where the money's going. If we could, on those your business plan, I think it's a business plan. If you could tie the investment to those points to communicate to the communities where that money's going, it's even a stronger argument, because we agree with all the points you're putting forward, if that's possible. And, you know, I myself have also been on the capital committee, and I've been saying for a while that, to our group, that the schools deserve a seat at that table as far as presentation of capital needs. So I'll be glad to, you know, where I can, champion your requests on our town. We have a process. We communicate that openly with East Brookfield, so we're not doing anything that you don't know about, but I think we may be able to help in that venue.
I think to that point, Tony, you know, we've been requesting and asking for a seat at that table for like 2.5 years now.
Okay.
It hasn't happened, but I think in order for us to be a partner from capital, I think it's important, our part of the budget is such a large part of the overall community's budget, that we need to have a seat at that table so that we can communicate and fight for the things we need for the schools, just as all of the department heads are gonna fight for the capital needs that they need. So I think we do need to have a seat at that table to move forward, and I think once you see the list of capital needs we have, I think you're gonna agree. I know you agree.
Yep.
But we need to take action to make it happen.
To that point, Mr. Chairman, if the administrator could forward to, would it be Gary, the first contact, to send you forms and everything so that we could be standard and present to the people who are listening to these presentations or read these presentations, to put you in line and go through our process. So could you have someone forward the template to Mr. Suter, so that they are involved and have a presentation this next cycle?
We had this discussion last year, the superintendent and business manager and myself, about, you know, when you were first coming, Dr. Crow, needing to evaluate the school system, going through the process of having plans and studies that they're talking about now, getting to that point where I think we're approaching that point where they've, you know, this team has been here for a year, and now it really has a handle in terms of the conditions of the schools and their needs, and we can move forward. But we did have earlier discussions last year about this when Dr. Crow came in.
My last point is, it was very refreshing to talk about direction curriculum too. The last time there was direct conversation about curriculum changes was with the building project, and how the building would suit those dynamic changes in curriculum. So it's good to hear. So nice plan.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chair. In as much, just on Tony's point here, as much as, you know, we've got some, you know, some clear standards you're setting forth and some goals, is that changing the way you're collecting your budget information from your, you know, from your schools, and I wonder if it's going to affect the presentation. We've seen presentations in the past where it's, you know, school by school, and then those same numbers, you know, rearranged in terms of curriculum expenses and all. I'm just wondering if you've got a new budget process and collection, and we have collecting information to go with the new goals, so that we can connect the goals to the budget lines?
I don't think we've changed the way we collect the information from the various principals and that sort of thing, but I think we are trying to, Dr. Crow's trying to get the administrative staff to tie their requests into the plan.
Okay.
So school by school, they may have different needs to meet whatever goals that they've set for themselves. So I think we should be able to tie some of our requests, or not all of our requests, at least the larger ones, to the plan that's been adopted by the school committee, so.
I would say that the thing that has changed is the mindset of data-driven.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a data analysis to determine what are the real needs, as opposed to, somebody would like this. And we'd like a lot of things, but tell us what the data says.
Mm-hmm. And when you talk about, you know, data-driven, can you give us an example of the kind of data that's driving? I mean, is it scores?
Some of it is.
Just some of it scores, and other data might involve what sorts of things?
Some of it is when you survey staff, and staff say, we need training in.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how to do this. The PD surveys is certainly going to be of that nature, that
The what?
the professional development surveys.
Okay.
We really intend, we have not gotten to it yet, but the Professional Development Committee, I want to reinstitute that committee, because I think it's a crying need for teachers to have high-quality professional development. And to that end, I think we need to survey them and find out what they feel they need, as well as what we believe they need, based on the data that they provide us.
And that in turn connected to the academic goals and also that
Correct.
it's all lined up. Another thing that you hear often at the school committee meetings, and it's sometimes hard to ask for explanations of terms and all, but it maybe is a good opportunity to, to tell the public in general what is meant by curriculum alignment. Is it grade to grade or school to school or all the above plus some other things, maybe Dr.
You want me to give the example of the science?
Yeah, yes, go ahead.
Probably the
It'll
best
be helpful.
example. So science standards were written for grade ranges previously, so between, for example, between grades 3 and 5, these are the concepts that will be addressed. These are the standards that must be addressed. Well, if the third grade teacher makes an assumption that fourth grade will do it, or fifth grade will do it, fourth grade assumes they've already done it. If we don't have an alignment in a curriculum map, something gets lost. And it was very clear that that was across the Commonwealth. That was a pretty consistent theme across the Commonwealth. So it's important to have not just high-quality resources, but to make sure that it's addressed in a grade level that where it's supposed to be addressed and not forgotten about just because it's in a range. Is that probably the example? Do you have another
Yes,
example?
Just that, it's so important that we're going along with the new Common Core standards, making sure that our buildings are also aligned. So the first graders in East Brookfield are getting the same information, same text, same education that they are at Wire Village, and so forth. And make sure that the upper grades are continuing what happened in the lower grades, some alignment within the grades as well. And then we bring that all to the middle school and then up to the high school as well. So we're all on the same page and focused on what needs to be done for kids according to the Common Core.
And the teachers can expect, if they're an eighth grade teacher, what students have already had in the standards. They can fully expect. And that they're building upon that foundation every year to enhance that skill. If we didn't have that alignment done, then that would be haphazard.
So it's, the communication you're talking about is also internal, just among staff and, not just with the outside community, but all within the departments and school to school. And that happens in your team, in your meetings with principals, when you gather principals together, your senior leadership teams. Okay.
Sounds good.
Sound good, guys?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to mention one thing while John was speaking. He and I are on the same committee that we're looking for economic development in town. And, rest assured, in a lot of the committees, the schools are on our mind. Like this Saturday, we met, and one of the keys to economic development, we believe, from the group that was meeting was, schools and a good school district. So you are on our minds, and we're not, we're sometimes may appear to be a schism between the Blue House and here, but we're trying to bridge that as best we can.
And and on that point, that it's not just in general higher standards, a well-performing school system, but also with, as you talked about your business partnerships, one of the things we were talking about was, kind of the talent pool the area makes available to employers. And so that's, I assume that's the sort of thing that you will learn from your business partnerships, and we in turn, as a community, can pass on and say, these are the relationships we have that make it an attractive place for business to move, to set up, to look for, to add to their employment ranks. So it's, we also realize as a committee that there's not a lot directly we can do, but in terms of understanding what's on people's minds when they look at Spencer. We've said this before, that we all want to avoid that downward spiral that we've sensed at moments where we really need to, reverse it, lift everybody up, because we know we need strong schools for our a strong economic base for our towns. We've tried to find a balance in funding the schools and municipal services, but I think we all agree that the two do connect and interlock, so that we have to lift it up so we all enjoy the benefits. And we'll always be working on that balance, I assume. And when we get into the numbers, that's when it gets to the nitty gritty. But I think what's behind us all is a recognition that we all benefit from strong schools, and we all recognize that even though our first thought might be about our services, we know what people are looking at as a whole package as they look at our towns.
I can tell you that this, from my perspective, having been here a year now, I can tell you that this school committee is highly committed to moving the district forward. I have felt that support consistently. I also I can tell you that my leadership team, Mr. Suter included, we're all very, very focused on turning this around. We know that it's going to take a lot of hard work, and there will be growing pains. I'm fully aware of that now, a year later. So, but we're pretty intent, and we're not going to throw in the towel. So I think that's important for you to know as well.
If I could just follow up on that. So as far as, improving the school district, I mean, one of the things that since I've been here and what had taken place before I got here, I can tell you that the committee's done a good job of bringing the district back to good, solid financial footing. We haven't received our E&D certification for the year that just ended in June, but we expect it to be a pretty good number. So based on some of that information that we anticipate, it was discussed at the last meeting that the district is anticipating paying off the balance of the debt from the deficit borrowing in 2013. So I think that's a huge accomplishment to occur in 3 years of issuing that debt, to be able to get out from under that. That will eliminate the need for the state overseer. There's a required contribution to, in effect, a stabilization fund that we have to make every year as long as we're under the supervision of the state. So that will go away. So I think that, the committee's done a good job with that, and so now I think we can implement some of these plans and hopefully put something together to, get the budget to a point where it's, where it needs to be, and then try to keep it, even, build in some replacement of equipment and some technology, replacement and all those sorts of things. Build it in so it's more stable from year to year rather than huge, peaks and valleys, and when we have to address things and fix them because they haven't been attended to for years.
Gary, if I could just add a few things to what Gary has said. People can't lose sight of the fact that I know if you're a parent, you're going to have another year for 5th grade for your kid, another 6th grade for your kid. These things didn't happen overnight, and I know both boards are well aware of this. So when we're talking about facility problems, curriculum problems, educational excellence, these are things that have fallen and slipped over the last 10 or 12-year period. When Vinnie and I came on the board, we were confronted in a couple of weeks of not being able to get food delivered to the cafeteria, not being able to make salary payments to teachers the following week. We ended up having to borrow money. We made the commitment then that we were going to work for the next 2.5 to 3 years so that when we left this committee, we were going to be debt-free. And we've had to have a laser focus on the finances of getting the structural problems straightened out in the budget. And that's where our whole effort has been. We're finally now getting to the point where we can start to address facility, curriculum, and those type of issues. We finally have the proper staff in place to be able to do it. We're probably finally going to be in a position where we can bring back some of those positions that we were forced to cut out, just so that we could simply pay teachers and get food on the table in the cafeteria. So we can't, as far as we've come, we can't lose sight of that fact, because it's why this whole process has taken a little bit longer than what we anticipated. We thought when we first came on the board, we were going to have this thing solved within a year. Much to our surprise, the problems ran much deeper than what we anticipated and stuff. But as Gary said, we will be able to report out very soon that we will be in a very strong financial position and in the black. And that's something that we should be proud of as a community moving forward. And hopefully, people will understand the effort that it took to do that. And now we'll be able to focus on all the issues that everybody wants to address.
Mr. Chairman, one last point. I just want to say personally, with my brief exposure and working with the committee, I know that to be a fact that they were committed to improving this committee in all areas, specifically in the area that we work together on, and I thank you for those efforts. I know it's been a difficult job, but many thanks from the town.
And Tony was part of that process. Vinnie headed up negotiations with all members within the district and settled 4 out of 5 contracts in the course of a little longer than a year, which was a phenomenal job that was done, and the time that was done. And we're finally at the table with these folks, where at least everybody now has a contract with their custodians, and that's in the final stages, we hope. So we should have everything in place for the next several months and settle contracts with everybody.
And I will say, and I know you guys got to get out of here, so not gonna take a lot of time, but it's nice to see that, you know, with the capital list you guys come up with, it gives us an opportunity to try to figure out how we're gonna do it, you know, from the town side, how we do it every year. And when you have X amount of dollars, I think you gotta set your sights on and be able to prioritize what's the most important to educate kids. And you know, I see all this stuff about the bathrooms and everything, and I had the opportunity back when to go up and paint the building. That's more of the community involvement we gotta start thinking about, is how do you get the parents involved? I mean, I'm a grandparent of kids that go there, so why wouldn't I wanna be involved? So I think that's important. My hat's off to you, because when John can't go, I try to make those meetings, and I know it's all difficult, but I think from the town side, we try to prioritize what we have, and from your side, if you do that, maybe somewhere in the middle is where we're gonna meet. But if we don't do anything, we're gonna go back to where we were, and you guys work too hard, and not to blow smoke. I mean, it's a tough job, so I thank you for that, but hopefully we can move this process forward and come out at the other end a little better than we went in, so.
Mr. Chairman, just one thing. I know that some folks in East Brookfield Finance Committee made the drive out here, so I don't know if there's anyone else that had questions that you wanted to kick off the season with. No.
Mark Carpentier from the East Brookfield Finance Committee. Doesn't apply specifically to budget issues and whatnot, but I was curious, back in another life in the corporate world, organizations that experience high turnover, be it of staff, customers, or whatever, generally did some pretty exhaustive, if you will, exit interviewing, trying to poll folks who are leaving, as to why they're leaving, be it staff, be it students. And I was just wondering, in the data-driven environment that we're now embarked on, to what extent do we plan, or does the district plan, to try and understand from those parents who are choicing their kids out of the district, the specifics of why they're doing it. And to that end, understanding why students are leaving, and perhaps why staff are leaving, it may help direct and prioritize the very things that we've heard this evening. So it's not so much a question as a thought, in terms of, you know, why are we seeking information from those who are leaving, to be able to direct our efforts at those kinds of issues. As we've already heard, there is a lot of misinformation out in the community. Communication hasn't been what it needs to be. And I think a lot of parents who have made choices to take kids out of the school system may be making those choices based on rumors, based on unfounded things. And it might be helpful to understand what those reasons are. So I leave the leadership with that thought.
Anybody else? Mary? You do two things at once?
No, she's kind.
Any
Mary's
questions?
Oh, thank you for asking. No, but I've been listening intently. I'm particularly happy to hear that the strategic plan is well underway and there's goals and things that the academics. We'll look forward to meeting with you a couple months when the numbers are more fun for everybody. Thanks.
Any?
Yeah, Gary, thank you. Just, wasn't gonna say anything, but just a couple of things. You know, some of the pitfalls that we came into when we came into the district, after trying to square it away financially, was the culture of the district. The culture across the district. And anyone who's been in business will tell you that the most difficult thing to change is a culture. Because it's been there, it's existed for years and years and years. It can be something as simple as walking down a hallway, seeing a piece of paper on the floor and walking by it because you can. as opposed to bending down to pick it up. That's a culture problem. You wouldn't do that in your home. Why would you do it in a school? Going into a bathroom and, making a mess of the bathroom because you can, because somebody else is gonna clean it up. It's a culture issue. Those issues still will get fixed. It's gonna take a long time to fix that. And that's deeply ingrained in the Spencer East Brookfield School District. And it's at every facet. And it's probably gonna be the most difficult thing and most challenging thing to fix. But that too can be fixed, and it can be resolved. But we have to stay on top of it. And the final point I'd like to make is that there's been a lot of misinformation out there. And, I understand that not everybody can get to the school board meetings. That's certainly understood. But I would just caution people that social media may not be the most accurate place to get your information as a second source. And I think that's really caused a lot of, misinformation being thrown about. The fact is I've been there for 2.5 years, and the board that we have, the 7 members of the board, have virtually been in complete unity for those 2.5 years, with the exception of a few votes, and I mean a very few, you can probably count them on one hand, that we haven't been in complete alignment on what we're doing. There's a lot of things that go on in the school district as selectmen from both communities. You understand when you deal with issues that involve personnel and whatnot, you can't publicly discuss those issues. And a lot of rumors start flying around, and people start, thinking that they have the whole story, and, I get that, and I understand it. It's human nature, and it's going to happen, and we can't prevent it. All we can do is keep the confidentiality that we're entrusted to uphold. But our board has been in unity, and with the education of the school, with the rebuilding of the schools, and certainly the repair work that needs to be done in the schools. And the repair work that I'm talking isn't just brick and mortar. I'm talking about the repair work that we've talked about with curriculum and whatnot, so. That's all. Thank you.
Perfect.
Mr. Chair, just one more thing, I think it'd be interesting to both boards as well as all the finance committee assembled. The last meeting I attended, and I appreciate Gary sort of covering for me when I can't be there, we've got other committee assignments, but I believe it was, Kevin, you spoke of reconstituting or bringing back a committee to look at rebuilding David Prouty, renovating David Prouty. We all know what happened to that, that committee several years ago. And I congratulate you on, bringing it back. It's out to be part of this discussion. It would be, where does that stand at this point? And
It's part of the district improvement plan.
Okay.
And we have notifications up on, or going up this week on the school website. It's an application process. We'll follow the structure that the state recommends as far as the type of members that should be on the committee, and then we'll enlarge it to make sure that we leave enough room to include input from parents from both communities. But it's our hope. I've asked members to bring forward names. I'm in the process of contacting people that were on the former committee to see if any of them are still willing to serve. The benefit of going forward, and I know not everybody was on the same page with it, but we've got a responsibility of some $680,000 that's already been spent by that committee. And it's been an indication to us that if we were to get it up and running again, we may be able to start fairly close to where it was left off. And be able to save that half of the $680,000 that's already been expended. So whether we agree or disagree on particular issues, I think would be a disservice to the community not to do so, because we're looking at probably 6 to 8 years down the line. And if we're ever gonna fix some of the questions that Mr. Charpentier brought up, some of the parents that I've talked to, they've exited and moved their kids out because of the condition of the high school, because of lack of facilities for athletics, lack of facilities for arts programs, for not having robust AP programs to the degree that we have them now. We've improved them over the past year and a half. So students leave for a host of reasons, and they're all fixable, but they all cost money. But I don't think we can be responsible going forward with setting the table for education of both communities if we don't talk about where we're gonna go with David Prouty High School. We got rid of Maple Street School, we got rid of Lake Street School, you guys are the proud owners of that now, and we now have.
I want to thank you for that.
We now have 4 buildings, they're in real good shape, and now we need to start spending money to maintain those, or they're gonna fall into the same condition that we found Maple Street and Lake Street School to be in. But I think the Achilles problem here is the high school. And I think it's already been vetted by the people that are on that committee as far as building new or doing a renovation addition. And I think it's, the best action is to pick up where they left off. They've already vetted all the other stuff, they've vetted all the locations, and some of those people have already expressed interest that they're willing to continue to serve. But I think we have to move forward, and even doing so, we support the rights, I've said so publicly several times, so as a committee, we respect the right of our fellow members from East Brookfield to explore what you're doing and stuff. It can only make us better in the long run, whatever we find out. Hopefully, the partnership will stay together and we can work to improve it. But we fully support your right to do that. But at the same time, we're not gonna hold the district hostage until those decisions are made. We're gonna move forward with the building committee, and we're gonna continue to try to take positive steps. So we're gonna be talking now about kids that are probably in the third and fourth grade. We're planning for them now, too late, kids that are already in high school and some of them that are in the junior high. So we're planning now for fourth and fifth graders, but your discussion of economic plans, you know, this is a big part of it. You know, and you're gonna see the budget that's gonna come forward is gonna mirror this district improvement plan. It's a 3-year plan. We know it's not gonna get done all at once, but it's gonna be a start where we can both see what the vision is and how we can find ways to get there, you know? There'll be disagreements about it going forward, but I think that will be healthy. But we are gonna move forward, and I intend to start making appointments by next month in our committee and getting it up and running.
And, you know, into that, it's been on our minds as we contemplate some, you know, some major capital improvements for the town. And it's all about, I've said it before from sitting here, is it's about the town's capacity to balance a load of projects. And so it's important to know what's, you know, what the school committee is thinking and, you know, the kind of tentative timetable that involves. And finally, I just want to say that I had an opportunity to sit with Dr. Crow before the holidays and with some ideas on some joint town and school projects, and I was really, you know, quite delighted at her response. You know, sincerely wanted to go forward with those, and I appreciate the, you know, seeing the, you know, partnerships is a key piece of the plan going forward, and both on small and large scale, and a lot that we could do to, you know, to move the positive feelings in the town about the district and our, you know, our mutual achievements. So thank you.
You guys have any other questions? All set. I just want to say,
Everybody for having us.
I just want to take 2 minutes and we'll break up, is that I had to tell you guys, we had a cable access meeting and Mary's here, and we are trying to make sure that every meeting is covered. Agreed, Mary? Not only your meetings, but try to get the select board meetings so that nobody misses anything and expand, because I think Vinnie hit the nail on the head. Is the social media out there, is this kind of a little bit of half-truth, you know, and there's some lies, and somewhere in the middle lies that truth. And if we move forward, that's our goal, because I do sit on that committee also, to try to get the best word out there for you. So I thank you all for coming in. Joe, I'll give it back to you. Sorry.
No, just want to thank everybody for having us. I think this is the start of something good, the 3 boards getting together, working together on this, and coming out with a good finished product.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mary, we're going to take a minute while they break up here a little bit.
Thank you very much, sir. We'll be talking soon.
Okay, we're back.
Yep. Go for ice cream, yeah.
So the next item is an action item for a toll booth request for David Prouty High School athletic boosters.
Just before that, I just want to back up one, in case there's anyone here for National Grid. There was a poll hearing. We had a word from National Grid this morning that they were going to do some redesign work, so they're going to postpone the hearing tonight, and that we'll re-notify the abutters when they do, so you won't have to pay attention to us in terms of when the meeting's going to be. We'll send, are you in a butter? Okay, yeah, so we'll send out another advertisement when the next meeting is.
Oh.
Our next meeting is not until February 8th, but I doubt it'll be but before that. I mean, they'll be ready then, so. But if you have any, yeah, and if you have any questions, just call Town Hall.
Okay,
All right,
thank you very much.
thanks.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Byron's here. We do have Mr. Dean here tonight for the toll booth request for the David Prouty High School athletic boosters. You do have a letter in your packet or email exchange that Mr. Dean and I had regarding the potential dates of April 30th or May 7th. We're getting closer to that, so I think we're going to either narrow it down or use
Yeah.
one as a rain date, or I don't know what you want to do, Byron.
So the Booster Club met about 2 weeks ago, and we decided on April 30th. It's difficult to have a rain date because our insurance only covers us for that single day. I can look into whether or not we can be covered for another day if we don't have the event, but I'm not sure what the answer will be with that. But I'm optimistic that whatever day we pick is going to be a nice day. All right, so we're going to stick with April 30th for now. It's going to be the same arrangement. I mean, this is the same board as last year's request, so you guys should be familiar with what we requested. We're going to set up locations at the intersections of Route 9 and Pleasant Street, and also at the transfer station. I'll complete all the paperwork for Mr. Tyler for the transfer station. The shifts will be the same as last year, 8 a.m. to 12 at the transfer station, 9 till 1 at the center of town. So 4 hours each shift, they just stagger by an hour. We'll come up with all the proper insurance rider information, and hopefully we have another successful event. It's a really good event for us, so it's important for us to have this one. It's probably the best event we have each year as far as, the amount of effort it takes and the amount of return we get. So it's really an important event. I know that there's only one other group that does a toll booth in the fall, and I think that's the Exchange Club. So we're not flooding the town with toll booths. And it's good to see all the people when they come through. They're very generous, and it's nice to see all the faces, so. Any questions?
No, well, Mr. Chairman, I just, because I ran into it myself, you have communicated to Mr. Tyler, so there's no one who'll take up a spot with you at the transfer station. We went there one time, and there was another group down there already collecting, and we're like, okay, this is not good. So let's make sure that Tyler has this all scheduled, so there's no conflicts at all.
Yep, I'll make sure he knows that we want to do it on the 30th, and if he has an issue with that date, we'll push it to the 7th or whatever we had to do to make it right. So,
Is there something you're trying to accomplish or get done with the funds collected, or what do you?
Specific expenditure?
well, the Booster Club in general supports the athletic teams and students in a number of different ways. We purchase equipment, uniforms, we have scholarships every year. Examples of expenses that the school doesn't normally budget for is when teams might make a district tournament and they have travel expenses that aren't in the budget, or if they win a championship or a tournament, they like to get, plaques or jackets or something to memorialize that event. So usually those are the types of requests we get outside of the standard, golf balls for the golf team or something like that. But in a number of different ways, we provide support to the teams and athletes. And I think last year I mentioned that in the 5 prior years, going back 5 years, we had provided over $50,000 worth of support in one way or another. So, I think we're a necessity for these kids and for these teams. So these events like this, this toll booth, are very important to our mission.
Great. Great.
I'd say it's every time a group comes forward to request a permit or something, I say to encourage them to tell them, tell the community what this means to the success of their programs. And in this case, you just heard presentations on the school committee. Community support is key.
Yep.
Could you give us an idea of what this has represented in the past for what kind of funds you've been able to gather and collect through the toll?
Yeah, I mean, last year's toll booth netted us about $2,500. And, it's a lot of change.
It is.
Quite honestly, the good news is a lot of it is in cash, paper money. Our buckets, we had a nice bucket that probably weighed about 30 or 40 pounds in coins, but, $2,500 is a good part of our annual operating budget. So it's very important for us. I think overall, this one makes us the most money each year. We have other events, like our annual pre-Super Bowl parties next Saturday at the Spencer Country Inn. That's just, your typical, fundraiser, raffles, gifts, things like that. Super Bowl squares. We also, the other event we do in the summer, which was the road races, we're thinking of doing like a meat raffle type of thing. And then we have our concessions up at the football field, and we run concessions all winter long at basketball games. So these are all the ways that we raise money for the kids.
Again, all important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for being out there for the kids.
Oh, no problem. We got a great group. There's 13 of us on that board, plus a bunch of other people that are, we call them corporators, that help out. And we've got a nice network of volunteers. So it's not me alone. It's a lot of people working really, really hard.
Great. Well, Mr. Chairman, since, this organization has a toll booth every year, I'd just like to make a motion to approve the toll booth request for David Prouty High School Athletic Boosters for Saturday, April 30th.
Perfect. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so approved. You're all set.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good luck.
Great weather.
Yeah, and a good day. All right.
I love talking April and May.
All right, next action item, vote to dissolve the Sugden Block Sale Committee.
Yep.
Mr. Administrator.
Yep, what I'd like to do, Mr. Chairman, is I'd like to dissolve that committee. It was created several years ago when we developed, and there was a committee that was charged, mostly staff members, but some representatives from other committees, planning board and others, and eventually put together an RFP and advertised unsuccessfully, unfortunately. But now with the new creation of the Building Reuse Committee, just trying to, we're going through a process of annual appointments and talking with the town clerk. And what I'd like to do is dissolve this one and just transferring that task, as we've already talked about, to the Building Reuse Committee. As far as an update to that committee and the landfill committee, we have advertised in the newspaper. So we've had slim interest, so I'm hoping for more. It was again in the paper last week, so looking for citizens, if you're interested in being involved in municipal building reuse or the municipal solar landfill project, please reach out to myself or Brenda, and we'll see about getting you on the committee. So, but this is part of that, is dissolving that old committee and transferring that task onto the new committee, which now has additional tasks, which, as you know, has already begun working on evaluating Lake Street. We had some money that was transferred in the fall to put aside for different consultants to help us, guide us through some of these projects. So that's underway. We're just looking for some additional committee help, dissolving this, transferring that task to the new committee.
Okay, makes sense.
Mr. Chairman, the only thing I would recommend is to make sure we have all the artifacts that were created by this group.
Yep.
So that our new committee can utilize those and hit the ground running, at least for one building.
Yeah, we have everything electronically backed up on our network, so we're good to go.
Mr. Chairman, make a vote to dissolve the Sugden Block Sale Committee.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good.
How do you say vote? How do you say?
Okay, old business. Question?
Can we do B before A, just because kind of
Do I have
the
to?
flow, yeah. The flow, while we're on the discussion of Building and Property Reuse Committee,
Might
I want to just
edit,
amend that charge.
Like we talked.
Yeah, I have, one of the things we did was I had drafted in, and the town planner is being on that committee. And what I'd like to do is, the fire chief's expressed an interest, and obviously he's had some history with some of the buildings, Pleasant Street, using that as a practice facility, utilizing, obviously, Cherry Street Fire Station at one point. Eventually, one of the things that we need to talk about is the Main Street Fire Station. So I think it'd be great to have the fire chief on there rather than the town planner. Currently, the town planner is a consultant, and it's yet to be determined how that position goes, but he's not gonna be able to sit on that committee based on his hours. So what I'd like to do is, I think it makes a better use of our assets, and that's our staff and the knowledge that the Chief Parsons has. So I'd like to amend that policy charge and just replacing the town planner with the fire chief.
Makes sense. You want us to vote on that?
Please.
Mr. Chairman, I vote to accept the amend policy charge for the administrator for the Building and Property Reuse Committee.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
So be it. Now you want to go back to A?
Now we go back to A. So the questions for the legislative delegation, I have confirmed that all three will be here on February 22nd. So I'd like to pass on any questions or requests for information that you folks may have. I have talked with John. John sent me an email with some specific list of things, and Tony did as well. Some things are repeats from past years, but we do have some new faces and new positions with Senator Goby being a former rep, and then obviously Representative Berthium. So we do have some repeats, which I think is always a good thing, so we can evaluate the changes over the years, and then anything new that you'd like me to talk about. I request that you give those to me tonight, or at worst by the end of the week, and then I'll be able to put together a letter and request for
I would
information.
bet that 90% of all these are the same anyways.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of similarities, I'm sure, but anything you want to pass on, that'd be great.
I'm sure.
Anything specific down there, or? A lot of things that come up in Chapter 70, Chapter 90,
Most of it-
vocational school
right.
funding, unfunded liabilities, pension liabilities, different things like that.
Which are the top three, usually
Usually the top
90% of
three.
the time.
Education funding,
So,
local aid, budget, all that kind of stuff, so. But I don't know if there's anything out of norm that you wanted to, and you can email me later if you like, but I do have some stuff to go on now, so.
yeah, I think it's all the same anyways, and thus through conversation that we've all had, we kind of figured that's where it was going, so. But if you do have any, please get them to them before Thursday.
Please.
Mr. Administrator, I'm going to keep you right there. Town Administrator's Report, Fiscal 2017 Budget Update.
Okay, so I have a one-sheeter I'm just going to pass down. So tonight on our calendar, I'll give you a copy of the calendar, so if there are any questions where things are going, but it's just a couple things on the calendar. One, tonight, obviously, I'm going to talk about the state budget outlook because the information came out on Friday at the MMA conference, but one thing I'd like to do is add a selectmen's meeting on the 29th. There's 5 Mondays. It's a leap year. We have February 29th this year, so what I'd like to do is take advantage of that extra day and schedule a selectmen's meeting. So we have an opportunity to move the roads workshop that we talked about doing at workshops,
Yep.
but that's school vacation week, and a lot of people go away, including someone at this table. So just to give it an opportunity for all the public to attend, obviously, the schools close, teachers go away, families go away. I'd like to postpone it from that Wednesday workshop
Flip it.
to Monday, the 29th, which would be an additional selectmen's meeting this month.
Yeah.
So,
I don't have a problem with it. Does anybody else?
So no meeting at all that week of the 15th?
correct. Unless something important comes up that you need an action item, but I think we have meetings, so the 8th, and then the 22nd and the 29th. The 29th would be the roads workshop. I've already talked to Steve Tyler and to Bill Scarpati about about different things and information that we need to present that came out of the last meeting, different options for funding levels, most importantly, specifically. So that gives us an extra 2 weeks to do that, or extra 9 days, I think, to do that too. So looking forward to that next session. So we'll be advertising again. So that's the only change I have on the calendar, and if there's any questions, anything else that you saw on the calendar. If not, tonight is our I guess, another kickoff, if you will. The governor kicked off his budget development season last week on Friday. So he hasn't formally released his budget document, which is known as the House One document, but in Boston, I was there on Friday morning with about 900 other local officials from around the state. You hear the governor's announcement in terms of what he's proposing for this year's budget. In bold, you see at the top, the most important is, not most important, but one of the most important items, obviously, is our local aid. So we get about $2 million a year in $2 million in unrestricted government aid. Last year, his increase was 3.7%, which is about $80,000 to $90,000. This year, he's proposing about 4.3%, which would be a $100,000 increase to our local aid, which is certainly welcomed. Chapter 70 aid will be fully funded for the schools and regional school districts with a lower rate of increase at 1.6%. Chapter 70 gave you and the local aid gave you the values of the total amount that's being proposed in this year's budget. Also, in addition to that, he's proposing to add $10 million to the $75 million MassWorks program fund, which is projects that are used to stimulate economic development, projects that are shovel-ready, A lot of these things, a lot of grants that we apply for, just like the TIP program and others, you have to be design-ready, shovel-ready, and with the Mass Works program, has to be directly related to the increase of jobs. So it's good to hear. Obviously, we want to work through our Economic Development Committee to get to the point where we do have projects to go on that list. We have in the last couple of years, we just haven't had any new expansion projects related to adding employment. But that's something that's your committee could keep an eye on. The added funding is certainly welcome. Chapter 90, which is something near and dear to our hearts that we talked about last week, with the $200 million annual allotment is expected to stay the same. We certainly would love to see the additional $100 million that was given in last year when he first came in, but it's not being proposed this year. So again, we expect about, the $500,000 a year that we get to, again, be awarded. He's going to file legislation to move that bill forward early in April so that we'll be ready for construction season, which is good news. Sometimes we've had in years past where that money hasn't been awarded till late summer, and obviously we were just left waiting to the following year before we could actually use the funds. And that's about it in terms of the state budget. So he has not filed his official budget document yet. We expect that any day now, but those are items that we will start preparing our draft budget for over the next 30 days. So in the next 30 days, I think on the 22nd, I'll be back before you for the same night as the legislators are here. I'll give you a draft budget presentation, and we'll incorporate these proposed numbers. Any questions on the state?
No.
And obviously, we'll follow that up with our legislatures when they come in on the 22nd. That's the news of the day.
That's the news, huh?
The news. All right.
Okay,
That's all I have.
to start. Okay, board liaison report. Anybody got anything?
You want to take the economic development?
This weekend, we finally kicked off our Economic Development
did.
Committee. And I have to commend John on his preparations for that meeting. We had a plethora of talking points to start the discussion. And we have a good committee for the folks that are there who want to be laser focused on what this committee can do and what can it affect, and areas that we should spend our time. So we got moving so quickly that there was a sincere desire of the committee to meet again next Saturday to continue the conversations. But I'll let John go into some of the specifics, but there were over 40 areas that the committee thought affected economic development for the town of Spencer. And we went through the first list and broke them down. So what area they affected, whether it be quality of life, business development, whether they were enablers such as some infrastructure projects are enablers for economic development, or if it was, we had another category where, it was worthwhile as a marketing item for this town to spur interest in traffic and economic development to the town. So it was a great conversation. The 2 hours plus flew by like it was a half hour. So it was a good conversation, and everyone kept focus, and we moved well.
We're really proud of the sort of the talent and skills and perspectives represented in that committee. I think it's a very manageable number of people stepped up and had some healthy back and forth exchanges over priorities and about analyzing some of these issues, which, by the way, I've accumulated over my 4 years, just things I've written on the backs of envelopes and napkins and stuff that people have said about economic development. It was a range of topics, and something as nebulous as fix the roads or improve the schools to nuts and bolts stuff about how do we fill storefronts on Main Street. I mean, it was a full range, and it was a chance to talk about each of those and say what's behind it, what can we do about it, and we had a lively discussion, and it's nice that we've got people from the corporate world accustomed to taking these project management issues and analyzing them and assigning values and going forward to the whole point, getting to the point where you take these issues and translate them into an action step, and that's where we hope to be, and ones we can assign priorities to, and what's going to require a lot of investment and what's easier. And so it was a very encouraging start, and I think Tony said it was a positive sign that people wanted to think they had commitments, and 2 hours was long enough, but they really didn't want to let that list sit there, and we'll meet again on Saturday, and those meetings are, be found on the website with an agenda, so, and the public is welcome. And just as we will be inviting business people with different points of view to come and talk on a point, we welcome the perspective of any residents with economic ideas or frustrations or questions. It's just the sort of thing the committee is there to deal with, to chew on, and contemplate. So, we are meeting Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. It's
30th.
this coming Saturday, the 30th. And it's Saturday morning just turned out to be the best time for a lot of people who are, heavily involved. Tony has a busy travel schedule, and they all have jobs that carry them late in the business world. So we found a good response.
One of the interesting points of conversation was not only the areas of concern for business development for this town, but also the sweet spot for this committee as an ongoing entity. What do they want to be? What can we institutionalize with this committee to be of use for business development, small business development? So, real good conversation. I'm really interested to see where it goes.
Yeah, and Adam has described it as an economic, is a kind of idea machine for the town, but it was also a committee where people really want to know what's happening in these various areas, and the topics are quite wide-ranging. It's not like we're going to get directly involved in all of them, rather some of them it's about being assured that it's being carried on by one committee or another, or maybe, again, in that case, asking people to come in and talk in more detail about what they're doing in this part of the economic challenge for the town. So it was quite productive. We're looking forward to it.
I mean, some areas where these groups may be used too, a lot of these we've discussed projects that are already in effect.
Mm-hmm.
We discussed areas where other committees will be handling issues. But, say for the roads project or a school project, another group of concerned citizens on a committee sign off and support something, it adds extra weight to an initiative we put in front of the town. Same way if the FMPC put their signatures on something, or the business reuse committee. I think it's important. It also shows involvement by the community. So it was a real good day.
I think that's a great start. I know I talked to John. I think anytime you can get enough people involved and maybe somebody helps carry the ball.
Yep.
Which moves it forward, so. Anything else?
Another meeting I attended in relation to that earlier in the week, it was Wednesday morning or Thursday morning, and Wednesday morning, I think it was.
Wednesday, you were working Thursday in the shop.
Thank you, I was lost in the shop on Thursday morning, but on Wednesday, I went to a meeting at Hanover. You probably got a message on that, Tony, with this new initiative with Discover Central Mass, and Christine Andrioli, who's Vice President of the Chamber, is going to be heading this effort, and to hear what the state has in mind and what shape that's going to take. And my concern was, what does this mean for the individual cities and towns? And I actually called up Christine today and said and I also spoke with Alex at the South Central Chamber about the same thing this morning. I said, this is programs like this that promote Central Mass, tourism and economic activity in our towns and visits are great for the larger players. I mean, the Sturbridge Village, the Southwick View, the Art Museum, they've got their brochures, they've got their machinery, they got their website. And I said, so how do we get our pieces in place so we can take advantage of that? And she asked me to serve on the marketing committee, subcommittee, and I said I'd be very interested. And it was also said that there are opportunities for us to get technical assistance through her, for a lot of the things that would support the promotional efforts we talked about on Saturday. So these are all pieces that go together, and where we see a potential support or a link that'll help our efforts, we're going to seize upon them, and that's where our committee will start taking on responsibility for individual tasks. So that was good to get us out there.
Mr. Chairman, I'll add that with the administrator, we're starting to schedule our capital committee meetings. So we'll have that schedule firmed up very soon.
We meet, the first meeting is next Tuesday, February 2nd, where we will have the initial meeting, go over the process with the members, and then I do have a date, I think it's February 8th, the first meeting of your board.
It is.
in February, where I will share those requests that the capital committee is reviewing. I'll share that list of projects and purchases with you folks as well.
Okay,
So that you guys are kept in the loop the whole way through the budget process.
perfect. That's everything?
Okay.
Your chance. Citizens input. Anybody want to be heard tonight? No? No? Oh. Board member and staff comments. Do we have any? Nothing?
Mr. Chairman, I was in LA when we had the first public hearing on the roads. I was disappointed to hear about the public participation that evening. Is there anything that we can do any suggestions to?
Well, I wrote one down because I had the same thing. We advertised obviously, we made a presentation at the fall town meeting. We had a mailing that went out in the census in January. And then we had advertisements in the Spencer New Leader and also on cable access. The one thing we haven't done, aside from knocking on everyone's door, is maybe doing a reverse 911 call and maybe have Steve Tyler do that a day or two ahead of time. Because obviously that's town-wide, reminding people that they can come. And I do know that I have had some inquiries from the press, so we're hoping that those articles show up soon. And that provides with additional advertisements for the next meeting, which again is February 29th, at 6 PM.
Great.
Okay, the only thing I have is I do have an announcement that near and dear to Tony's heart with MHPI, in conjunction with our COA, they're gonna do a dance for all seniors in town. Space is limited. It's gonna be held at the senior center. You got to call for tickets. It's going to be, let me see, 5th of February. So that's good news.
Is it the Valentine's?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
I thought you were announcing I was moving into MHPI.
Not yet, Tony.
Okay.
You're almost
Soon,
there.
Soon.
You and Bo are going to share a place.
Yeah, there you go. 2 studio apartments.
Yeah, right.
Play bingo.
So that is happening on
Where's that
February.
taking place, Gary?
At the senior center.
the senior center.
Maple Street. So that's all good news.
Yep.
Happy to see that. I will tell you, the heat is running at Maple Street.
Oh, you got it fixed?
Yeah, I didn't know how to operate it, but we're there. So that is running. We're keeping an eye on Lake Street with the oil.
It'll be down to 4,000?
400.
400 already?
So,
Close the windows.
we did.
It only goes down to 60, it doesn't go any lower.
So we're on top of everything. I do want to thank the board for all the assignments we gave out this year. A lot of them are coming to fruition. We did it with the building department. Chris, good job between you and Adam getting those numbers. And,
There's 38 of them.
we'll keep pushing forward on all of it. So other than that,
Every friggin' one down the most.
there's nothing else. Our next meeting is going to be, let me see,
The 8th?
February 8th,
February 8th.
next week off.
Next week off, like a holiday.
We'll make up for it in February,
Yeah,
in March, in April.
So please join us.
Mr. Chairman?
Look forward to it.
Motion to adjourn?
I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Yeah. Ice cream guy.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you and good night.
Thank you.